I have noticed something, especially on online spaces, black women who tend to present themselves as feminine. And I say that in quotes. Think of the coquette style, those who love anime. You know, things that people have formed some sort of connotation that black women shouldn't do. They tend to be bullied and demoralized. It seems that the only aesthetic accepted on black girls is the more street style aesthetic, which in my case tends to be on the masculine side. I'm really not American, but I do notice the weird glances that people give the girlies who tend to dress in a more unique style. So think of the Lolita style, anime style, you know. Many people tend to gravitate towards and accept the street style aesthetic on black people. And if you are leaning towards the cute and feminine style, the one where you would not get weird looks is if it leans on the more provocative side, where it is more figure hugging, especially when the body is bodying. I really hope that I'm wording it better and that I wouldn't ruffle any feathers, so just take my opinion with a grain of salt. This is just the observation that I have come to make. So, the reason why I made this video, actually I have wanted to make this video ever since I started my channel, and it is because of a post I saw on Instagram. I really hope I can find the video. And I have been seeing numerous posts like these and reels about people talking about being bullied because of dressing in a certain way that is quote unquote not black. And the hate comments usually mention them wanting to be white. But it is just a style, isn't it? I mean, many ethnicities also partake in the street style, which is mainly rooted in black culture. So why the discourse when it is black women doing it? I even saw someone comment that this was racism. Like how? Black girls can't wear coquette now? There is so much to talk about pertaining this topic, but I am mainly going to stick to the coquette aesthetic and maybe anime in this video. What I see as more accepted in black girls is either the hypersexual, so think of baddie aesthetic, hoochie mama, or the most popular one, street style. You can argue that the coquette style is mainly rooted in whiteness and anime is from Asia, but hip-hop is from black culture, right? And many people enjoy it and even partake in it. So why isn't the same grace given to black people, more so black women who want to partake in coquette or anime? As much as we don't like to think about it, but history does play a big role in why this discussion is even here in the first place. Let us break this down. The term social Darwinism was coined by Herbert Spencer, where he took Darwin's biological theories and applied them to human society, arguing that wealth, power, and success were signs of inherent superiority, while poverty and oppression were natural outcomes of evolutionary weakness. Darwin's cousin Francis Galton later expanded this idea and found eugenics with the belief that selective breeding could improve human societies by favoring superior races. Now, which of these were the superior races? You can guess. Social Darwinists claimed that white Europeans were the fittest race, while Africans and other non-white groups were less evolved and naturally inferior. These ideas were used to justify colonialism, slavery, segregation, and racial violence, arguing that black people were meant to be subordinate to whites. The likes of Samuel Morton collected and measured skulls to prove that black people had smaller brains and were less intelligent. They also used craniometry, which are skull measurements, to claim that white men had the most developed brains, while black people, especially women, were closer to apes. You can see how this obviously led to the birth of how the world viewed black people, especially women. There is another one also. Social Darwinists and scientists claimed that black women had higher pain tolerance and were physically stronger than white women. When you say stuff like these, people are obviously going to have a certain perception of such demographics. Plus, this led them to be used as lab rats for medical discoveries and medical neglect. Even now, black women were and still are less likely to receive proper pain treatment in hospitals. They were also expected to work the same as men in fields without rest, and also them to be strong and endure hardships without complaint. In other words, black women were forced to get into their masculine energy, which involves action, leadership, and assertiveness in order to survive. This is vastly different as to how white women were treated, which one may argue that it was daintier and more feminine because they were in their feminine energy if you compare it to black women. White women were seen as delicate, pure, and needing protection. Black women, due to these racist ideas, were seen as masculine, aggressive, or promiscuous. They were told that they couldn't be soft or ladylike, and this is all because of an ideology made by an individual. Social Darwinist views made people believe black women were less marriageable than white women. And these Darwinism views aren't really scientific, it is just pseudoscience, but it affected a whole demographic of women who up to today are still being defined by these stereotypes. Women like Serena Williams, who is like the greatest tennis player of all time, Venus Caster Semenya, people still question their womanhood even after them proving it. And the only way black women could get around these stereotypes is when they are in a closer proximity to whiteness. That is if they either have more Eurocentric features, such as a smaller or slender nose and just smaller features, like people from East Africa, or if they are lighter skin. Like if you are a dark-skinned girl, oh my God, you're gonna have it hard. Like they are either fetishized or people are just aggressive to them for no reason. I'm really not dark-skinned, that is why I'm using they. I'm more of brown skin, so I haven't experienced what they do experience. But even from a third person's point of view, you can see that dark-skinned women aren't really that much appreciated by our world, even though they are literally God's gift. So how does all of this associate with the coquette style? Why this intense backlash when black women want to branch out and explore coquette style or other hyper-feminine aesthetics? Others maybe argue with the fact that coquette is predominantly white and that's why, but I beg to differ. Coquette fashion has various cultural and historical influences. The word coquette originally described flirtatious, witty women in French society. The style also reflected elements of Marie Antoinette's Rococo fashion, corsets, lace, and pastel hues. It also draws some inspiration from the Lolita and kawaii culture in Japan, with its delicate lace, bows, and doll-like appearance influenced the softer, vintage side of coquette fashion. The admiration of youthful, innocent, yet seductive looks carries over into the coquette aesthetic. But the people you mostly see on social media, especially on Pinterest, are usually white. On the other hand, the aesthetics that are usually predominantly black and people of color, such as street style or the hoochie mama, you'll see others participate in them, but they are never given the backlash that others are given. And when you look back, this can be because of, and yes, we will be talking about another trope. In simple terms, the Jezebel tropes hypersexualize black women. They are seen as seductive and morally loose, that they are naturally promiscuous, sexually insatiable, and unworthy of respect or protection as they think. The mammy trope, on the other hand, strips black women off of their femininity and just describes them as caretakers. This was enforced during the Jim Crow era so that black women weren't seen as a threat to the white women. And these sorts of stereotypes damage the reputation of black women. And you can tell by how we are fetishized by other communities. Of course, not everyone. And also, the body type. And I really don't want this to sound weird, but have you ever seen the coquette style? It is usually just skinny, very skinny people being shown, and skinny is usually associated with being white as well as East Asian, which is of course a stereotype boxing everyone into one category. Black women, on the other hand, tend to be known for their curvaceous bodies, which is in fact a beauty standard in the black community. So people may think that they aren't suitable for these sort of aesthetics. But I see times changing. At least I can go on Pinterest nowadays and actually see multiple photos of black girls in the coquette core search bar. Yes, you always find those people who like to police black women on what they can and cannot wear. But I can see the collective starting to shift and be more accepting. And a little friendly reminder, life is short. You wear what you want to wear. It is 2025. Whoever chooses to remain in the 1800s, let them. You are free to wear whatever you want to wear and present yourself as you want, as long as you are not hurting anyone. This idea has been in my head for a long time, and it was actually one of the topics I wanted to discuss here. But I still hope that you enjoyed today's topic, and I am really interested in your views concerning this topic. And if I am reaching, just call me out in the comments. My name is Alia of My Shower Thoughts, and on here, I just speak on topics that have been eating up my mind and just seem interesting to me.